Well, I think the first thing to acknowledge is that I'm not saying there have been a number of surveys done, and as we know from the polls that were done before the last general election, what the polls mean. You know, none of us saw the election result that we got, and that's been replicated in many different places. So there have been lots of polls of the similar kind of nature. BBC have done them, lots of organisations have done them. Interestingly about this one, there's a lot of issues about the validity of this one as well. And I know I read this morning that Adil Ray, my old mate Adil Ray, Citizen Khan, was told that he was followed up. And all what they did was the normal companies that they would use declined to do this survey for the Sun, because they felt that what they were asking them to do in the time frame with the financial resources they were asking them, they would not get a true reflection of what the picture is. So the way what was done, there is an element of people. There are people who are saying it's not particularly the best way to have done it, which is to just randomly phone up people with Muslim names and ask them questions. And Adil Ray did say that he felt some of the questions he were asked were open to interpretation. So I think that you take it with a pinch of salt. Now that's me saying that, who's got a lot of facts to hand. The bigger question is, what happens when things go out there in social media? Now, things are said about me on a personal level that are just rubbish, and they're out there, and once they're printed, there's nothing you can do about it, and then they go round and round the world. And actually, it can have damaging repercussions, not just on you as an individual and your families and things around you, and it can be taken to an extreme. But actually, I think in some people's eyes, there's no smoke without fire. So when they see these things on the internet, do they then factor in that this is what that person really is? Now, if you replicate that, or duplicate that, or multiply that by the millions of people who happen to be Muslim in this country, and the Sun is saying, or any other organisation is saying, 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 supports jihad or supports whatever, then the public who see that, they don't know any of the kind of detail. They just often get the headline or the basic gist of the story, and then they think, oh, you know, one in 4 or 5 Muslims that I'm going to see on the street thinks that jihad or what happened in Paris or fighting in Syria or whatever is acceptable. Now, if that's the case, then that's the case. But what we kind of do is say that's the case, particularly from this survey, from what I've read so far. And I think that I'll be honest and say it's from what I've read so far. So I think that you can't knock a survey for existing simply because we all use them. The question is, you know, about what's your measurable outcome, as it were? What did you want to come out of this? Yes. And if we truly believe that 1 in 4 or 5 Muslims in Britain is supportive of ISIS, if people truly believe that, then that would be worrying, yeah. But I don't think that's the case. And if I don't think that's the case, and I probably wouldn't find many people who would find that to be the case as well. But if you start putting in questions about sympathy, then what does sympathy mean? Sympathy is very different to I support. You know, you can have sympathy for somebody who, I don't know, decides to do something stupid, but you don't necessarily think it's the right thing. You can say, oh, well, they're an idiot, but maybe they're an idiot and I sympathise with their family, or I sympathise with, you know, they may have got really upset. But what you don't say is, I want them to go out there and behave like absolute barbarians. You know, and if somebody asked me that question, you know, do you think that the people who are fighting in Syria with ISIS are barbarians? I would say yes. If you would say to me, are the people fighting in Syria who are trying to oust the Assad regime or whatever, then I think, yeah, I've got a bit of sympathy for what they're doing. Now, if you then elongate that to say, you know, I then believe, that answer could then be, I believe what's going on in Syria. I have sympathy with people taking action in Syria. Well, I don't, and I do. I'm just saying hypothetically. Yeah. So it's a very complicated picture, but what we have to do is realise that these things have more power than we realise sometimes. And it's all very well people writing articles, tweeting, and all those kind of things, but you've got to think about what that means to other people. And I know that because when I do work, when we do a lot of stuff, when we talk about some of we've not shirked away from a very controversial kind of subject, but we think about the impact it will have as well. Not necessarily just for our audience, but on our workforce as well. And I think it's very easy to print this kind of stuff if you don't have a workforce all over the world. When you have a workforce all over the world, you need to think about what you're printing and what you're saying. So I don't think we can stop people from doing stuff. I think we have to have a conversation about the legitimacy and have a conversation about some uncomfortable truths, and also have a conversation about what might be a better way of doing the story.